Hi folks, this is Vicki at patternprincess.com. Today I'm going to show you how to do the pattern for this really pretty ear warmer. It's nice and stretchy this way. It's not so much this way, the length way, but the width-wise, it's very nice and stretchy. It's very comfortable on, and it's really pretty. It just looks very nice, very elegant. The stitches are all even on it, and this is really beginner friendly. I'm doing another one that's a smaller size than that. I'll make sure to have all of the sizes on the website. On the free pattern is always free on the website, patternprincess.com. So this is a smaller one. I'm going to show you how to join this, but after I show you how to do the stitches. And you know I should back myself up one more time. How about after I tell you about what I've used for yarn? So this is, both of them are made from Wander acrylic yarn. It's from Furls Fiber Arts. It's a number 4 medium weight yarn. I believe that you pronounce this one, for the more greenish looking one, agave. I think that's how you say it. And then this one here, the tan one, is called fawn. All right. So in the hook size I've used is a size I, 5.5 milliliter. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to get our slip knot on our hook. This is how I do it. There's many ways to get a slip knot on a hook, but this happens to be how I do it. Okay. All right, our slip knot's on. Okay, and now you can chain. We're going to do a chain. I'll do 10 stitches, but there is no multiple for this. I actually crochet to size when I'm doing these headbands to get your gauge right. Make sure you measure your first chain stitch row and then measure until you get it as wide as you want. But I'll have some suggested sizes, suggested stitches, and whatnot to make each size, okay, to help you. But get the tape measure out on this one so you get the size you want. So anyway, so we're going to do, let's say 10. So you can, like I said, you can do any stitch multiple on this. Do it to size. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. So what we're going to do, the stitches that we're going to do is just a slip stitch. But because they can tighten up on you really easy. And also on this particular one, to make the first row look just as nice as the last row. So look at that row. Look at this row. Can you tell? You cannot tell which row, at least I can't, where I started and where I stopped. So I'm going to work in the back bump for the first row. I'm going to skip the first one. But you see this back bump when I turn it over? Here's my 2 loops. But I'm going to turn it over and work in this back bump and keep your stitches loose. So I'm going to insert my hook in that back bump, yarn over, draw the yarn through it, keep it loose, keep everything kind of loose because it'll tighten up. And then you bring it through, right through the loop on your hook. Go to the next back bump, insert your hook, draw up your yarn, and bring it right through the loop. So we're just going to continue to slip stitch all the way across. And the first row is going to be using this back bump because it just makes it look so much nicer when you have this kind of a pattern where I think that it would show. I mean, and people look at your face, they would look at your head, and they could possibly see that maybe you might have an unsightly beginning row with some gaps in it. So on this particular one, I think it's important to do the back bump on the first row. So I'm already to the end of the row. There's my back bumps. So this is how it looks so far. It's a little bitty swatch, but here it is, okay? Now I'm going to turn it, and the whole thing is a slip stitch. So what I'm going to show you right now, this next row, oh man, my yarn's getting away on me, is what you repeat the entire pattern. So we're going to yarn over, or yarn, I should say. We're going to do a chain 1. And then we're going to insert our hook into the back loop, bring it through, and then bring it through again. And we're going to continue to do this all the way across, and it's just a back loop slip stitch. Keep them loose, because if you don't keep them loose, it'll get too tight, and it is really hard to get into them when they're too tight. So continue to keep them loose. There we go. And then I'm going to show you after, not so much this row, but after the second row here, on the third row, I want to make sure you get into that last stitch. I want to show you, I'm going to chain one, and I'm going to do the next row here. And I'm going to back loop, slip stitch right into the first one, and then each one across. Make sure you get all the loops of the yarn on. But the very last stitch can sometimes pull so tight that it's sneaky to get. And I had a couple rows myself that I was off because I didn't count. I just went by look. But I want to show you this very last stitch. Not this one yet. So what I'd sometimes do is you can't stop here. You see how it's a little bit left here yet? You can't stop here and think, oh, this is my last stitch. You got to pull back. Let me get a needle to show you, because I think it might be kind of hard to see on camera. There's a stitch hiding right here. See that? This little stitch, that's hiding right there. So you got to make sure that you stick your hook into that last stitch. If you don't, you won't have an even edge. So then you yarn over, bring it through, and you can see I haven't crocheted tight, but it still snuck in there. And so here, we just got this itty bitty swatch here, but look at how nice it's starting to look. This is the back and this is the front, but you know, it's starting to have the same give, but that's all there is to it. And you just continue to work back and forth until you get your desired width. The length is determined this way by your first chain stitch. Your width is determined by how many rows you're going to have. Okay, so now you know the stitches. Let's move on. All right, now let me show you how to fold it so you get this really pretty look. It's just like magic. Now I'm going to make sure I'm smart. Please try to be. And I'm going to thread my needle first. So I just kind of twist the yarn and mash it up in my fingers. And so here's my yarn. I have my yarn hook that I'm dealing with. And so we just mash it through. There we go. So I'm going to just set this aside. Now, all right. So what you do is you fold it in half. Okay, making sure you don't twist it yet. And then you fold this in half. Then you fold this in half. So we got it, this is how it's looking so far. Let me get my yarn ends out of the way. Okay, we're going to nestle one half inside of the other. Just like this, okay? I'm going to take my yarn end. Where is it? It's right here. I'm going to flip this around so I can sew this better. Okay. So I'm going to, let me just make sure. And I want to make sure that all of my ends are up here too. So I'm going to start here and I'm going to go through the ends, and you make sure you catch all of the end loops. And you just start going back and forth. This is my starting yarn end. I'll make sure I weave that in too before I'm done into the end. But I'm just going to go back and forth and then continue to sew this together. It doesn't take too long. This whole thing can be made in a weekend, because it does take a little time to make the slip stitches. But it's really fun to do when you're watching TV with the family. Okay, and then once I get to the other end, excuse me, I'm going to come back this way too. Sorry about that. I just had to cough quick. Okay, we're to the end. But now I'm going to come back this way. I just like to do a double layer. And then I like to look to make sure to have I gotten all of my layers, just to be extra secure. And then I'll show you how I weave in my yarn end as well, so you can see that part of it. Because if you were newer to crochet and to sewing things together, weaving in your yarn ends, we don't often show you. So here we go, I'm to the end. And then now I just take it and kind of just start weaving. Back and forth. And it's already kind of snug. So I just want to make sure it's snug, so it's not going to pull out, because this is holding everything together. And we'll go one more time in here. It's feeling pretty snug. Okay, so now I'm going to weave in this other one, and I'm going to snip my yarns off, and then I'll do the reveal, okay? Okay, I have my yarn ends all done. Let's turn it inside out. Isn't this cute? This is a much smaller one. It's a nice size for a little girl. There, isn't that nice? All done. So make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and then make sure that you check things out on the website, patternprincess.com, for the free written pattern. Take care, and thanks for watching.